Welcome back. I've been planting trees and I did record it. This is a vlog of the planting of the Russian mulberry, green gage, and another look at the Osage orange. Hope you like it. I'm up on the top hill. I have my Russian mulberry with me. Now, there's some of these that were alive. I might replace them, and I might not, because they were all struggling. The ones out by the entryway out there, they're okay. You see how many I have here? That's 20 minus 3. These three here, they're not mulberry. That's a green gage. I think I got it wrong. That's a Birch Leaf Pear. I wonder how many Birch Leaf Pear I have here. Okay, it's just those two. So those two are Birch Leaf Pear. That one is the pea shrub. And that one over there, that still has leaves, is a green gage, which is a plum. So I have these 4 and 4, 16, 17 that I had to plant here somewhere. Now, if you remember back to my other videos, I planted 9 up here. I planted 4 across here and 5 across back down there. Now, I'm going to just decide where to drop them. I'm going to put them 15 feet apart. They're supposed to be 30 feet apart because they have a 30-foot spread. Jim from Green Dream Project has one of these. It's a Matic, it's called. I said I need one of those way back when he was digging his trenches. I finally went and got one because it's difficult to get into this with just a shovel. And the regular pick hand, you're just making little small holes. Whereas this, you can drive this in, turn it and pull it out just like pulling a hole, which makes it a little easier. Got my measuring tape, and what I'm looking for now is where the I can see where the other one is to make a straight line across, because that one beside the habitat pile, that's a little half the line. That's 15 feet right there. You see, much easier to get a hole. Just like that. These are all gone dormant now. The roots are starting to come out the bottom, see that? There, that's deep enough. Maybe I should bring you in a little closer for this part. I'll try this again. Brought you down close and then didn't turn the camera on. So this is another hole now. I finished planting that tree. That's good. But as you can see, the roots are starting to come out the bottom. I'll squeeze this. Gently pull the tree out, and make sure the whole soil block, the entire soil block, is coming with it. The root, they grab the bottom, you see. And you see the mass of roots. So it's got a good set of roots and it's not root bound. So when I put it in there, it should start off next year just the same as it wasn't even moved, because it's in dormancy now. The first ones I use of these, I let them dry and I figured I could reuse them. This bottom here though, sitting so long there, that's awful soft. So I don't know if that's reusable or no. Put the soil that I just hooked out of the hole in there. That was a good lump of sod. I'll take this pieces off the back of that sod. Then what I'm going to do is just pull the sod apart, put it there upside down. Just like that. And that's that part. I think the fox has brought down the population of the snowshoe hare, but if one snowshoe hare wants to come by this way and nibble on that tree, they can do a lot of damage in a short time. So I have to put stakes around my trees every time I plant them. And this is just a deterrent for the snowshoe hares. Just like that. I'm going to plant the others, but I wanted to at least make a record of how I was planting them. And I'm going to plant the rest of them out now over this entire area. This will be the Russian mulberry grove, whereas down on the other flat it's going to be a red mulberry grove. There they are planted. Of course you got to put the stakes around them because of you know who, the snowshoe hare. This one, that pile, was pulled up. It's mostly all organic matter from one time when this field was plowed. It was all plowed in the one direction, and the top, the organic matter was piled up here. And I have a mulberry planted right beside it. This is the one that kept its leaves the longest. I didn't need all the species, and this one was alive, even though he's very small, so I left him there. If you do the research, you'll find that mulberries can be up to a 30-foot spread, so that will be 15 feet either side of the trunk. I have these spaced 15 feet apart, which means if they get anywhere near full size, their branches are going to be intertwined and you're going to have a completely closed canopy. If you don't want a closed canopy, you have to space them 30 feet apart. 15 feet the side of the one trunk, and then 15 feet back from the other trunk, making 30 feet. But if that is an issue, when they do get up, I'll either trim back the branches, or I'll cut down some of the trees. The other thing I'm doing here, let me think. Okay, so here is the last one here. Okay, so 15 feet between trees. And then you go, I looked up and I have all of these spruce growing here. And it is 40 feet probably, or more, before you get to this one. Actually, there was one of the ones I lost, I planted here as well, so this is probably 30 feet from the last one. I had space, so rather than cut down these trees that are growing, I don't know how long it's going to take for the mulberries to grow up. These may be useful for firewood or something else by the time I need to clear them to let the mulberries grow. So I have 15 mulberries that I just planted. They were 2 years old in milk cartons. There's the one that I planted when he was just a little tiny thing, and so they're not growing. It's not growing very well, but it was alive, so I left it. So that makes 16 mulberries here in Hall. And then there's this thing, which I mentioned earlier in the year, that doesn't look like a mulberry. So I don't know what it is. It's got a kind of a furry bark on it. And with a little spike in temperature, it's going to try to regrow. So we just wait for it to grow and see what it produces. This is something I want to take note of. I wonder if this will have winter kill on it, the same as this did last year. You see how it's still quite green? It was growing right up until we had like -4 Celsius. And so I'm thinking that this might die back, and each year I'd probably get a better shoot, because you see how last year it died back, and then another shoot grew up from down here and come all the way up to here. Any frost protection at all? You see, this one is fully leaved out still, and like I say, we had a -4 night. And once again, now these are so small because these are the ones that the hare ate. Well, the ones that are that big, they didn't get. I'll turn you around. You see, they didn't eat it completely down to the soil, so there was a little bit of material there to grow from. And as they were small, they didn't. They haven't lost their leaves yet. This one is the one that was just barely come back to life. You see this leaf, a dead leaf here. So I have to wait until next year to see if it's going to grow again. This one is more in the open, so you can see the frost got it. It doesn't they don't turn colour. They just, when the frost comes, they just drop their leaves. This one, I think it was growing earlier, but it got eat again because this is in a nice path for the snowshoe hares to run, so it was right in its way. I'm going to put a new one there though, and I'll just put a protection around it so the snowshoe hare won't get the new one. I want to put the Siberian pea shrub right there, and so I had to cut down this spruce to get said pea shrub in there. So if I planted it there now, I would eventually have to cut down the spruce anyway, and then the pea shrub would be in my way. What I wanted to do, and this was the initial plan, is to start right there and go all the way across. It's difficult to see now, but the back end of the hen's pen will go there, and I would have a row of pea shrubs, if they grow well, all the way along the back end of the hen's pen. Now I could have put one down there for now and left that spruce tree till later, but the issue with that is that, okay, then I would have it there in an area that's hard to get at, and it would probably be ignored. So when you start as you're growing your food forest, you start with the places that are easier to get at so that you can go out there and tend to it well. And then you work your way back from that as you get each area easier to access. So I'm going to lock the camera here now and see if it tips over or not. Here's the pea shrub. It has little thorns on it. Now I'm kind of happy with this tool because, like I say, that wide piece, it acts like an axe when you hit a root. So let's see how easy it's going to be to put a hole down that I can plant that pea shrub into. But before I do that, you see these little ones? I can cut them off. I think I better put on a pair of safety glasses though. So I wanted to put it right there, yes. Oh, and there's beautiful soil too. Okay, I'll bring you in. I don't think we'll have any problems with animals gnawing on this now. But I still need to put in some markers so that I know where it's at. Like this. I'm going to plant the green gage. That's a little green plum right here. It's going to require some pruning because here's the path up to the cellar, and of course you got the roadway for the quad right there. Here's the habitat pile, so the voles will take care of any fruit that's falling. and it's close to the main pathways to be tended to quite frequently. This area is right full of sticks, and of course tall grasses and that. I am not going to bother to try to put a hole there. When I was out getting firewood, the bottom of the tree was completely hollow. Why fight with what you don't have to? So I'll lay that there like that. I have to cut down this aspen whip that's coming off here, and this cherry whip. And when I was doing this, I think the camera, I forgot to turn on the camera, I think is what happened. But what I realized, I'm not going to be able to use these for the second time when I was planting the Russian mulberry. So what I started doing was tearing it down the seam like so. And these were sitting in there all summer, so you'd expect the curtain to deteriorate at some point. Really beautiful root system on it. What I'll do is put it down there. It is a little bit down in the stump, but I'm thinking that may give it a bit of extra protection because it is up out of the ground, and if we do get cold weather, then like I say, that'll give it a little bit of extra protection for this year. And as it grows, it'll just send its roots down into the native soil beneath. I don't think the snowshoe hare will get up and eat at this when it's up like this either. My battery ran out, I don't know exactly where, so I have to record now the final vision of what this one's like. So that'll be nice. Next year when it starts out, it'll just continue to grow its roots down into the native soil below. I have to sit down to get everything I want in the frame. I decided to put the Birch Leaf Pear here. As you can see, it's only about 4 feet from the gooseberry. But that's the way a forest-edge is. And I think the Birch Leaf Pear would make a perfect forest edge to transition from the taller trees down into the low shrubs like gooseberries and currants and the like. I was given these as a substitute for seeds that of another variety that the company didn't have in stock at the time. So I wasn't too enthused about it, but we'll see. It puts out these little cherry or plum size pears. It's grown from seeds, so it'll be variable. And as I said, it'll be a great shrub, a fair sized shrub here. And we'll have to wait until it produces to see what the fruit are like. For those, I'm going to try to use the mattock and just put a hole down. You can see the milk curtain that it's in there, and the my new gooseberry right there. And then I just went over here. I have the Carolina allspice right there, and just eyeballed it and said, "Ah, here's a good place to put it." I had to put it a little ways from the well. I mean, it's not a good idea to have any large plants growing next to your well, because the roots can grow down into the well. So it's put up there. It should be far enough away, and I think it'll look good. So once it starts producing, we shall see. Good luck with that. Ain't gonna be no hole dug there. I'm going to have to do it similar to what I've done with the green gage. This one was the same size, same length as the other one that I planted the green gage in. And I decided for these to cut it in half, and I make two out of the one. I have several of these, but I just didn't like it to be quite that high. So you see this crack here. When I went to cut it in half, I found that some animal had been storing green peas in there. So I'll put that one there. My intention when I brought these home was to make planters of them at some point. I wasn't thinking quite about this, but I think they'll come in handy for this now, for planting trees where I can't dig down. Yep, see, it's deep enough. Gotta get that bucket over closer to me, I think. That'll do just well. It'll come back perfect next year. And now I'm going to do the same thing with the other one. So there, we planted another 20 trees. If you'd like to watch these trees grow along with the rest of the forest garden, hit that like button. That lets YouTube know that you've enjoyed it. Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.